This is the Retirement Solution Podcast with financial advisor John Hicks, founder of J. Hagan Capital.
And I'm Heather Branch here with John to ask him about the things you can be working on now in effort to better prepare for your financial future. RetirementSolutionRadio.com is where you can go to begin your own conversation with John and his entire team at J. Hagan Capital. You can also find links to click on in our show notes, or again, that website, RetirementSolutionRadio.com. It is the buzz, particularly in the southeastern corridor of the country, as we get closer to the college football kickoff season.
Oh yeah,
everybody is.
I tell you,
a fever.
There's a lot of buzz in the city this year. Yeah, we've had a couple not great football seasons.
Yeah,
and now that we get Jeff Brom here at the helm in Louisville, it's great. UK also looking pretty good. Heck, even our Hoosier friends have a lot to be excited about.
Could be the
year.
And
who doesn't love it's the quad drums and the snare drums.
I was just about to say, it's the band music.
Yeah, of college football.
Takes it to the next level. It is so much fun.
Because, there's something cool about, NFL football. They're doing, Welcome to the Jungle, Guns N' Roses and all that stuff. Yeah. But there's just something about the drum line that just makes me think, it's college football season. It gets me all excited. Makes me want an Oktoberfest beer,
right?
Is what it makes me have. And then maybe some sausages and onions and peppers.
Time to grill out.
Sounds kind of good to me. Yeah,
Time to grill out. It's one of those things I always love when you go to somebody's tailgate and they've somehow jerry-rigged up like a TV screen. I'm like, why is there a TV screen that's working in a parking lot underneath the tent?
Oh, there are some serious folks at the U of L games. We've seen full RVs that have drop down 60-inch or 120-inch screens. The people have the inflatable projectors. It's a real deal.
Okay, I have not seen an inflatable projector yet.
Oh my goodness. Yes. No, I had years ago an inflatable projector that we would put outdoors, and we'd get one of those inexpensive broadcast projectors, and you could watch movies outside with the kids and all. But they got some high def ones now,
wow.
And it's unreal. So for night games, you don't even have to go into the stadium.
Full service.
You don't even have to pay $13 for a beer. You could actually sit outdoors and watch the game.
Well,
you get instant replay.
Right. All of this talk, though, about beers and delicious brats on the grill and all the other good things that come along with tailgating. Of course, there is a price to pay. Actually, because I'm a terrible cook. My brother-in-law, we all went to Virginia Tech.
You're a terrible cook?
I'm a terrible cook. I cannot do it. I have no patience for it. But my brother-in-law is actually an amazing cook. He's the grill master. But I'm the kind of person where I'm like, let's find the nearby fun bar and hang out there for a while. And then we don't have to worry about buying the food or cooking or cleaning up. This is a great idea, guys.
That's not bad. I get that. I understand that.
But wait until we talk about this first story that I want to bring up to you and all of our fellow friends listening to the radio this morning. If you're planning on doing tailgating at a restaurant this fall, be mindful, be wary, friends, ladies and gentlemen, because this next story is going to have you double checking your retirement receipts. The TikTok channel, Financial Boffins, says that many restaurants are now adding a quote-unquote junk fee to your bill, and you may not even notice.
So if you check your bill, you'll see it. It's listed separately. It most commonly appears as a surcharge fee, and it's 3 to 4% of the entire bill, so that's a lot. And I want you to know that it's a junk fee. So if you ask to have it removed, then they'll do it for you. And they have to, because it's a phony fee. It's fictitious. It's literally for nothing. So I'm surprised that it's not illegal, but they do it.
First of all, I don't know that I would have the gonads to say, take this off my bill. I think I would just kind of be like, okay.
That's kind of crazy. When they first said junk fee, I'm like, it's all that junk I'm about to put in my trunk from eating all of the cheese, the nacho cheese soaked fries with the extra crispy bacon on top, or I love tailgating food. Anyway, but hold on, but junk fees. Okay, so this is interesting. So I don't know that I would necessarily draw attention to myself in a restaurant about an extra 2 or 3% on there, to be perfectly honest. But having said that, I think you're exactly right. People are betting, Heather, that nice, hospitable people like ourselves, patrons of a restaurant, would never really gripe about it, so they just pay it.
That's right.
And the thing of it is it's just because we are just trying to be nice and accommodating. We don't want to cause a scene. We know that the server had nothing to do with that 9 times out of 10, or if not 10 times out of 10. They have nothing to do with a lot of those things. And so a lot of us are just nice, but I think this is exactly why they've done these things.
Right.
If you've ever noticed, if you've ordered a pizza recently, there's usually 2 or 3 extra fees on there too. too, right? There's a service fee, and then there's a delivery fee, but then they still expect you to tip the driver.
Yep.
So there's 2 extra fees, because you still tip the driver often for those things.
Right.
And that's just extra money they're making. But Heather, it doesn't stop with food. And I know that last week or the week before, we had a pretty in-depth segment where we talked about 401k fees, but I want to bring that conversation right back again.
Okay.
Because as we're going out, tailgating season, we want to have a beverage, we want to watch the game, we want to enjoy camaraderie around friends, and we may be getting duped for a little bit of that. Guys, would you absolutely be in disbelief to find out that your 401k, that's right, your very 401k that you may even have with a Fortune 500 employer, may be riddled with the same type of fees. I call them junk fees too. Now, they try to say that there's all kinds of reasons why they have up to 18 different fees that they have found
18
inside.
Different fees.
I did not even have to find them because our good friends at Forbes.com found 18 different fees that 401ks can charge us that we may not even know about.
Right.
Now, the greatest thing, or not the greatest thing, one of the worst things about them finding 18 different fees is that when you add all those suckers up, you could be with a great employer in only paying 0.5% a year. But the average, Heather, of people that are paying in their 401ks is between 1.77 and over 2% a year in 401k fees. So let's just talk about that for a second, because a lot of people are like, well, John, it's just 0.5%.
Right.
I mean, what big of a deal is that? Or it's just 1%. Heck, I tip 15%, or I'm a great tipper. I tip 20%.
Right.
And that may be exactly right. I'd like to consider myself, if I have great service, I like to consider myself a pretty good tipper myself. Mm-hmm. But that means that I'm doing that on a bill that may only be $40
right.
or $60. Now, guys, if you add a couple zeros to that, well, we're not talking about $40 or $60. You're talking about an extra 1% on your $400,000 401k balance or your $600,000 401k balance. We're talking to the tune of $4,000 to $6,000 additionally a year than you may have even thought. So, Heather, when we're thinking about that, is that highway robbery? Well, in my opinion, it kind of is. Yeah. Mainly because we didn't even know we were paying it.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, they're not lying. It's right in there in all of those disclaimers, which are so easy to see, right?
Yeah. Right.
They're all on one page right in front of your face.
0.5 font. There's like a 600-page condensed into one bottom page.
I am amazed that even though that the lawyers require all this legalese, that they don't. If you have to have a telescope, if you have to have the Hubble telescope to read the print to find out what it says, I don't know that that's accurate.
Right.
But guys, the biggest thing about this is it's not just the additional fees; it's what happens when you compound those fees over time.
Yeah.
Last week we had the example, and I'm going to use it again because it's such a big deal. If you pay an additional 1% in fees over the course of your working years, let's assume you started working when you were 20 and you finish working when you're 50. Let's say you have an early retirement, but you worked for 30 years.
Yep.
Heather, if you pay an additional 1% in fees, you may actually be giving up a full decade of extra income for you to live off in retirement. That is unbelievable. And so a lot of people say, well, John, what does that really mean?
Yeah.
So to give you an example, if you'd invested $100,000 and then worked for 30 years, if you had paid 1% less in fees, you would have over $780,000, almost $800,000 by the time you retire. Yeah. That's pretty good. But Heather, if you paid 1% more in fees annually, just 1% more, you wouldn't have almost $800,000. You'd only have about $470,000. That is an unbelievable difference. So that 1% a year in this example equates to almost $300,000 of difference in retirement, or as many as 19 years of retirement income. That's how big fees can really be. And one of the things that I'd heard fees compared to in your 401k, they're kind of like termites. Yeah. They're super small. You can barely see them, but if you leave them unattended, they can absolutely chew up your entire foundation for your future. And that's exactly right. So when you're thinking about just going out and having a drink or two and having an extra 2 or 3% in fees, unfortunately, that's kind of a big deal in the long run too. But if you're really thinking about the lion's share of what we've saved, whether it's in our 401k or our IRAs and things like that, guys, those little fees can be astronomical in the long run. If you don't know what you're currently paying, that's where you have to start. You have to start today. You have to know, hey, before you make any changes, how much are you actually paying? Because if you realize, oh my gosh, John, I had no idea. I'm paying 2.2% in fees annually on something that you could actually get at Fidelity or Charles Schwab or Vanguard on your own and pay a fraction of that amount. You need to find out what you're paying today. Call our team and let us run a fee analysis on your current investments. That way you at least know where you're starting today. Even if you make no changes, being informed is being in control.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Solution Podcast with John Hicks. Begin the conversation about your savings plan with John and the team at J. Hagan Capital by visiting retirementsolutionradio.com. Be sure to listen to John's radio show, The Retirement Solution, Saturdays at 8 a.m. and Sundays at 9 a.m. on News Radio 840 WHAS.
J. Hagan Capital Inc. is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if J. Hagan Capital Inc. is licensed in your state, please call 502-690-5635. J. Hagan Capital Inc. is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency. It does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Jonathan Hicks, insurance license number 548962.